Hi there, it's me, Brett Fish, and as we have started doing this work of anti-racism, one thing that we find really quite quickly is that it's not always easy, it's not always straightforward, it's not always simple. And one of the words that can help us as white people to navigate the murky waters of anti-racism work is this idea of nuance, of understanding that everybody has a story, that context matters, that the history matters, that not everyone is going to see the same word or term as offensive, that not everyone is going to see the same action as okay, that motives and intentions, all these things come in together. And the more we do the work, the more we are reading people that don't look like us, the more that we are interrogating the white spaces that we spend time in, the more we are diversifying the people we hang out with and listen to and eat with, the more we will start to understand nuance and complexity, and hopefully we'll become a lot better at doing the work. And so that's what we are going to look at today. So this idea is all about taking the time to do the work of understanding the history of words or meanings and what part nuance and context might play, as well as being sensitive to potentially painful situations. And I'm going to share it with you through this illustration. If you are a white parent of white children, then you might feel like calling your kids a little monkey if they are playful and mischievous and naughty. And that is totally okay. If you are a black parent of black children, you might decide to call your kids a little monkey if they are playful, mischievous, or naughty. And that is okay. This one almost blew my mind because I was hanging with some black friends of ours, 3 beautiful daughters, and the dad referred to his daughter as a little monkey. And I was like, hey, you can't do that, that's race. Oh, right. And so in that context, it's okay. I would go as far as suggesting that a black person could call a white child a monkey if they were being playful, mischievous, or naughty. This is where it gets interesting. A white person can never, ever, 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 under any circumstances, call a black child a little monkey, even if that child is being playful, mischievous, and naughty, even if the white person is really close to the family and has no bad intention whatsoever. They are really tight and they mean it in the most innocent way. A white person cannot call a black person a monkey. And you might look at that and go, oh, reverse racism. How is it that you have one standard for one person and a different standard for another person? And that's where understanding the history and the meaning of words comes in. Because the term monkey has been used to hurt black people. It has been used as an insult. It has been used to dehumanize, to demean, to insinuate that black people are less than human, that they are stupid, that they are ignorant, all those kind of things. Monkey has never been used in the same way against white people. And it's been used widely against black people and Indian and colored people as an insult, as something negative. And so even if you mean it in the most positive of ways, the word carries that connotation. Now, I had a very interesting conversation with a white woman who had 3 children. 2 children were white and one of them was black. And she called her kids little monkeys when they were playful, mischievous, and naughty. And I said to her, that's not okay. The connotation of calling a black child monkey is not okay. And she was really hesitant to let it go because she loved all her kids the same. She didn't mean it in any negative way whatsoever. I absolutely trust that her intentions were good. And I said to her, like, this is an example. Imagine she was in a restaurant with her family. And imagine at one point the little black child is being mischievous and the mom calls her a little monkey with all the love and care and compassion in the world. The waiter, who might be black, overhears this. The manager, probably white, sees this from where he's standing. The kid at the next table hears it. They don't understand the context. They don't understand the relationship that this mom has with the child. All they see is a white person calling a black child a monkey, and all the negatives that go with that. And that's just an extreme example of where it is obviously problematic. I think it's problematic at its core. And what came to a head in this conversation, eventually the thing that I asked the mother is, why are you fighting so hard to still be able to call your child a monkey? If there's any possibility that it can cause harm now, at school, later, why is that not something that you'll let go? And I think that's a good principle for all of us. Do what causes the least pain. Err on the side of causing no pain. Maybe it's never going to be a problem. Maybe there's never going to be a circumstance where it is bigger than what it is in that moment of just being seen as mischievous and naughty. Rather don't do it. Don't risk it. But it's understanding that in history, that word has been used to demean and dispel and ignore and subjugate, and it is not okay for us to do that. And it's so easy for me to make the decision, I must never call a child of color a monkey again. That's really easy for me to do. We've got to interrogate the words we use. And sometimes the only way that I'm going to find out that I'm doing it wrong is I'm going to say something and somebody's going to get offended. And they're going to tell me, you've hurt me. And in that moment, I can't be, I didn't hurt you, I didn't mean it. In that moment, hopefully I won't be defensive. Hopefully I'll stop and go, I'm sorry that I caused you pain. Maybe they'll be able to explain to me why they caused me pain. Maybe it's better that I go to Google or to some of my white friends that have been doing the work and say, hey, this is what happened. And I said this word and the person responded so strongly. Can you explain to me how I got it wrong? And if I understand how I got it wrong, then it's easy to not do that again. And so you'll get it wrong. You'll make mistakes. That's okay. Not learning from the mistake is the problem. Not changing, not doing the work of understanding why it's a problem. So that's when it comes to words, and it extends beyond that in terms of nuance and context to actions as well. In the media in the last couple of months, there's been a resurgence of cases of blackface. A moment where a white person will put black makeup or brown makeup on their face to pretend to be a black person, or an Indian person, or an Asian person, colored person, whatever. And often these are photos of politicians or actors that have come out from years ago of things they did. And this is a moment for a deep and sad confession from me, because I have a moment of blackface in my life. I was part of a church and we were doing a church play, and the play called for 2 black characters, and we only had 1 black young man in the church. I was part of the youth, and so I grabbed a can of cocoa, and so brown face in this case, and I applied it to my face, and I was a black guy in the play. Now what's interesting is at the time I was in a majority white church. Nobody took offense, nobody said anything. It was well received, it was funny, it was whatever. And it's only looking back now that I kind of understand the history of blackface that I realize how offensive it was. And with the advent of social media, those kind of things, when they happen today, get picked up more quickly. And they get shared and people get shamed and all that kind of thing. But it's not that it's any more offensive today than it was back then. It's just that it's easier to find out about it. Or it's easier, and people are more aware of why it's not okay, why it's offensive. And so, but I think this is important. Going back to my context, I think that while the blackface was horrendous and terrible, there are bigger questions in that moment to be asked as well. How is it that we were in a space that called for 2 black people in a play and we only had 1 black person available? There are questions about why were there not more black people in my church? And so when we dig through this stuff, there's nuance and there's subtlety, but there's also the case of systems and structures and contexts of problems that go beyond maybe some of the surface problems. So the blackface was a problem, and being in a church that had a context of being mostly white people was a problem as well. And so I'm not proud of that moment. But at the time it was well received. And so in the moment I didn't know that it was a problem. And we are all becoming a lot more aware today, which is great, because it means that we can shut that stuff down as it happens. It means that most people get the fact that blackface is not okay, brown face. And so we need to start understanding when our actions are problematic. And I want to finish this by just looking at that idea of intention. Because often somebody will do something bad and the person will say, oh, that really hurt. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Now, while intention is important, intention matters. It does matter. It just doesn't matter enough. Intention is not good enough to excuse hurt that I do. If I hurt you, but I didn't mean to hurt you, you still end up being hurt. And so my intentions there are irrelevant. Were you hurt? Yes. What am I going to do to say sorry, to apologize, to make sure I don't do something again that's going to hurt you in the future? And so we need to be really careful that we don't use our intentions as an excuse for being racist, for using racist behavior or thought. But I didn't mean it. Okay, this is why it hurt. And I think it's really interrogating that question, like the but I didn't mean it versus the was offense taken, was somebody hurt, was damage done here? And then leaning into that as a white person. How can I educate myself so I don't do it again? How can I fix this as much as is possible? How can I say sorry and show that I've changed? And are there reparations? How can I put it right? How can I make it right? So these are a couple of things that are all related. This idea of nuance. No, not all the situations are the same, but once we start to understand the bigger things that are right or wrong, and as we lean into people's stories, we can start to see smaller things that are hurtful, that are problematic, that need work, that need adjusting. And then understanding the context of words and actions. If this historically has been a hugely damaging thing, then that might explain why it's not a great thing to use today. And then lastly, this thing of intention. It is important that our intentions are good, but it's not good enough that if even with good intentions, we end up hurting people. So let's practice those this week. Let's be on the lookout for them, and let's try and be and do better with these things.